Hello there, everybody. I hope you all had a wonderful work week. Well, it looks like marketing took another hit, so to speak. There are a few marketing quotes that come to mind this week, but one of my favorites when it comes to Monday morning quarterbacking a marketing campaign comes from one of my friends, Michael Brenner, and he once said, "Behind every piece of bad content is an executive who asked for it." So this last week, Solo Brands, the parent company of direct-to-consumer brands Solo Stove, Chubbies, Our Kayak, Icy Breeze, and Isle, well, they announced the appointment of Christopher T. Metz as its new president, chief executive officer, and director of the board as part of its broader growth strategy. Why is that a story? It's not. That in itself is not a story. The story is why Solo Brands said they were making the switch at the brand quarterback position. In a nutshell, the CFO said their unique marketing campaigns didn't provide the revenue they'd planned for and thus negatively impacted their business results. Look out, here comes another bus to throw marketing under. But is it really? Was it really marketing's fault here? Or does this feel like a pretty juicy rationalization for other problems? You want to know more? Including how rapper Snoop Dogg plays in all of this? Yeah, hang on. This is 5 minutes of what's new that might help you lead your marketing strategy. Let's roll. Hello everybody, Robert Rose here with What's New in Marketing. It is what's new, but most importantly, it's what's important in our world of marketing, designed to help you become a better marketer. And if we can help you or your team with custom training or ongoing marketing education or services, get on over to contentmarketinginstitute.com, won't you? So this last week, rapper Snoop Dogg, he made the news again with regard to a campaign he did for Solo Brands and their product Solo Stove. Now, if you were paying attention, you may remember in the middle of November last year, Snoop made headlines with a single tweet. He announced that, quote, "After much consideration and conversation with my family, I've decided to give up smoke. Please respect my privacy at this time." Now, that tweet went immediately viral. It created mainstream news coverage and videos, and it was just viral across all the social media channels. And it went viral, of course, because the only celebrity that might be more associated with smoking weed than Snoop Dogg is Willie Nelson. But was he really quitting? Would he only be using edibles now? No, as it turns out. In fact, it was all part of a viral brand awareness campaign for Solo Stove's new smokeless stove. In the follow-up video, Snoop says he's tired of coughing and his clothes smelling bad, and as the camera pans wider, it reveals, well, he's sitting in front of a smokeless Solo Stove fire pit. So, amazing, right? Amazing. What an incredible influencer and brand awareness campaign. It amassed 30 million likes, comments, and shares on social media. Ad Age even ranked it 18th in their 40 best ads of 2023. What could possibly go wrong? Well, Solo says it didn't work, and they threw their marketing campaign under the bus for the slightly lower guidance on revenue and seemingly replaced their CEO in charge because of it. In their press release announcing that the CEO would be replaced, the interim CFO, the Chief Finance Officer, said, "While our unique marketing campaigns raised brand awareness of Solo Stove to an expanded and new audience of consumers, it did not lead to the sales lift that we had planned, which, combined with the increased marketing investments, negatively impacted our EBITDA." And then she continued, however, saying, "We believe that there's significant opportunity for us to build awareness and that these new campaigns will expand our reach and benefit our brands over the long term." Now, other than being one of the most talk out of both sides of our mouth statements about marketing that I've seen in some time, Solo basically said the brand awareness campaign done in November and December didn't provide the sales lift by, the end of the year. In other words, the company is saying, with a straight face, mind you, that a brand awareness campaign started in November of 2023 failed because it didn't provide revenue lift within 6, yes, count them, all 6 weeks. I'm just going to let that sit there a minute. 6 weeks. They probably hadn't even paid the agency bill yet. Anyway, there are 2 things for us to pay attention to and acknowledge here as marketers. The first thing is that this is a great example of something that we've taught a long time. And that's applying the right business goals and objectives to the right part of the marketing journey in the campaigns we create at that marketing journey step. When the business goals and the marketing goals aren't agreed upon and acknowledged and codified, well, don't be surprised when nobody meets any of them. This was a brand awareness campaign. And in fact, it was a pure brand awareness campaign. And as a marketer, I can tell because it was designed for a pure brand awareness, because if you look at the social post, the TikTok video, and of course the video ad that appeared on YouTube, by the way, that sits at 1.1 million watches as I record this, there was either no call to action in any of those videos or just a dead end at the end of the video, or in the case of the YouTube video, there was a simple learn more in the video description that basically took you to the Solo Stoves e-commerce website. Brilliant content, wonderfully delivered, and a perfect vehicle for generating more conversation and awareness about the brand, but not built for conversions. But even if you couldn't tell, they actually said as much a month after the launch in November in The Daily, a magazine for retail brands, where the then CEO, John Maris, he discussed how they brought on the Martin Agency to help create the campaign. Then as Maris clarified the campaign, it was clearly about building audience for the brand, and clarified by saying, quote, "You certainly aren't going to track it to revenue. You're tracking it to things like unaided brand awareness." So, okay, and I recognize that I'm an outsider looking in here and that the actual teams may have better insight into this, but if brand awareness was the business objective and all the marketing leaders agreed that this was what the campaign was designed to do, then failing the campaign because it didn't reach revenue objectives is just plain wrong. It wasn't designed to lift revenue. Not to mention it was only given 6 weeks to do it. Now, I've got my own challenges with the building audiences part of that statement, because in my world, it would have had plenty of calls to action to actually, build an audience, right? Why not have a call to action to become part of Snoop's smokeless world, or generate your own smokeless plan, or download all the benefits of going smokeless, and all the kinds of fun, interactive ways that we could actually start to build an addressable audience as the next connected step. And that's what gets us to what I think was actually the marketing fail in my eyes, and it wasn't connected to anything else. They had a brilliant concept, an amazing differentiating story told by an exceptional influencer, and connected it to exactly zero part of their customer's journey. All go to their very boring e-commerce storefront, which is greatly functional if you want to buy a stove, and awful if you're understanding why you might want to buy a stove. So how do we take the Snoop story and continue it in the demand gen part of developing more interest in shopping of the Solo Stoves? How do we leverage the goodwill and brand recall into more people being interested in smokeless stoves and fire pits? How indeed? Anyway, one of the things that we talk about in our first-party data workshop is using the engagement and interaction with content to learn how to best serve what we call the best next experience. In other words, the way to think about this is once we marketers get the attention of someone, be it an ad or a social media post or a video that goes viral, and they watch it, what's the best next? Now, I don't mean next best, because that means next best is not quite as good as what they just watched. I mean best next, the best next experience that you want a person to have after they've had this experience, and then connect it. Connect it to your content, connect it to your audience. They're in the theater, now you got to hold them in the theater. That's integrating your content and marketing strategy. Whether or not that's worth replacing your CEO over is one thing, and I bet almost anything that there were other things at play here other than a viral ad with Snoop Dogg. But as you start thinking about ways to launch the amazing new disruptive viral content that your creative team has just discovered, just remember this story. Ask yourself, how can you connect it into the larger best next experience so there's always some place for your audience to go deeper and learn more and develop a relationship with you and your brand. And that is it. Take a hit. That is a few minutes of what is new in marketing, and remember, it's your story to tell. Take a big hit of integration, get yourself a pizza, and make sure to tell it well. And I'll see you next week.